Hey guys, John McSwaggin here, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favourite comic series of all time. This list is not including one-shot comics like The Killing Joke and only series or mini-series. This list will not be the same as what yours may be and will most likely be very different. Feel free to tell me your top 5 favourite comics, and with that said, let's start counting down. My 5th favourite comic of all time is Superman Unchained. This was a 4-issue miniseries that was published in June 2013 to November 2014. Superman was very poorly received during the New 52 before this series. Then this comic, written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Jim Lee, came out, and it took Superman back to a more traditional take on the character, yet still being in the New 52 universe. I'm not a huge fan of the New 52, and Superman isn't my favourite character of all time, although it is in my top 10 superheroes of all time list. So with that last comment, that just shows you that these two things aren't my number one favourite thing about comics. I still really enjoyed the series, and it made me like Superman a lot more. I have more respect for the character. Well, more than what I already did. I was always eager after reading the issue to find out what happens in the next issue after that. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have Born. Born was another 4-issue miniseries. This comic was set inside the Max universe and explores Frank Castle's, more commonly known as the Punisher's, third tour in the Vietnam War. It is set in the closing days of the Vietnam War and explains how Frank got his messed up mind before his family got killed. I really enjoy comics that are more centered on the psychological aspect of the characters' minds, great narrative and awesomely well crafted action scenes, and this series masters that amazingly well. This series was originally published in August to November of 2003. It is written by Garth Ennis and drawn by Derek Robertson. If you haven't read this, I highly recommend this to anyone. Just don't read this if you're below 14 or 15, because it does have some quite graphic and mature scenes and comic panels. So you have been warned. It also does have quite a bit of swearing in it, and so that's another reason. This is a little thing that Coming in at the number 3 spot is the Amazing Spider-Man series. Now this series is 700 issues long with a few in between issues as well, so I haven't read every single issue, but I have read a fair few of the stories in it, such as Maximum Carnage and Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut and Happy Birthday, to name a few. This series got stopped after its 700th issue and got rebooted under the title The Superior Spider-Man, after Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man switched minds. I won't get into that event because that's a whole nother video worth of content right there. The stories within this massive title are something amazing, pun intended. They're well crafted and manage Spider-Man's and Peter Parker's lives separately, but also entwine them when it's needed to give the character more depth when the story requires it. This series was published in between March of 1963 all the way to December 2012. Throughout that time, it was written by comic greats such as Stan Lee and Tom DeFalco, amongst quite a few others, and drawn by Jack Kirby and Todd McFarlane, amongst many more. This title has had many stars in the comic world working on it in the time it ran through. It is sort of sad to say that it is finished, however that does not mean that we can never read this phenomenal series ever again. At the number 2 spot, we have a Valiant comic title called Ninjak. The 2015 Ninjak series is very well done. It includes traditional spy work mixed with ninja assassin work, which makes for interesting stories that are beautifully executed. It is one of the best series post-2010, if not the best series. Valiant have been crushing it these last few years, and I'm very excited to see where they go in the future with their comics and how they go with their live-action cinematic universe. This comic series was published in March of 2015, and is still going on today. It is written by Matt Kindt and drawn by Clay Mann and Jackson Butch Hughes. This series handles the flashback sequences to when Colin King, Ninjak, was a child, but also uses flashbacks to show us his early days in MI6 and some of his early missions. I highly recommend this comic, and it also has a very good spot for beginners to the Valiant universe to start. And now for my favourite comic of all time. This was a very easy choice, as it has been my favourite comic for a few years now. That comic is Batman Hush. Batman Hush is written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by Jim Lee. Not only is this comic wonderful because it has many classic villains and introduces one of the best Bat villains in all of Batman lore, and arguably in all of DC Comics lore, Hush, but it also introduced me to an artist called Jim Lee. As I've read this series, and now years later, he is still my favourite artist. Almost instantly upon just flicking through the pages of the comic did I fall in love with Jim Lee's art style. But I can't make this whole section just talking about how much of a great artist Jim Lee is, so I'll talk more about the comic. Like Born, which I was talking about before, this comic also has strong influences on what makes the character who they are and how they function. Instead of Batman's parents get taken away from him, he supposedly gets his best friend and his only childhood friend taken away from him by the Joker. We later find out that it was Clayface in disguise and Joker was just a mere pawn in the plan of Hush, who was Thomas Elliot. And then at the very end we have another major plot twist, which is the Riddler was actually the one behind the whole thing, orchestrating the events from behind, and even getting the attention and heat off him when Batman confronted him with questions during the series. This series sees Batman fight Ra's al Ghul, reveal Jason Todd was alive a few years before it was officially revealed and 100% confirmed, and even makes a few longtime favourite characters get reborn, that character being Harvey Dent. The comic also sees Batman's and Catwoman's relationship grow and flourish. The series ends with Catwoman attempting to comfort Batman and she says the word hush, which triggered Batman into accidentally grabbing her wrist too hard and hurting her. Catwoman leaves Bruce alone, and this scene just shows the true psychological impact crime fighting and this villain Hush truly has and had on the Dark Knight. And that brings us to the end of yet another video. An honourable mention for my favourite ongoing series, excluding the 2015 Ninjak run, because I already put that on the list, is the Doomsday Clock series. I can't really say much about it right now, as it only has 2 issues in it, and at the time of me writing this script and recording this video. But anyway, if you did like this video, don't forget to like this video and comment down below your 5 favourite comics of all time and anything else you'd like to. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with all this comic book content coming out every Wednesday and Sunday. And with all that said, I'll see you guys next video. Bye.